Peace once again, my fellow expressions of consciousness. How to see the truth when perspective is subjective. That is to say, everybody perceives or sees reality individually. Well, my friends, at some point on the journey back to self, your ever-present free nature, you have to put perspective into perspective. Meaning, analyze, look at, contemplate on what perspective is, which I'm of course going to help you with right now. You see, perspective, of course, is a way of seeing. You may think 10 seconds has passed since you've been watching this video. Another person may feel a minute. We perceive color differently. We cannot accurately present the color of our minds, pictures of color to one another, because we have our own subjective internal world, of course. So we need to put perspective into perspective when we are searching for truth. Because if your perspective is different to mine, as it of course will be on some level, and if the next person's is different and so on, then how can anybody say that their perspective is the right one? Well, we have to go beyond perspective. We have to go beyond perception. Now you may be thinking, that's impossible. It sounds impossible because you are always perceiving. Always perceiving. But to go beyond perspective is to do this. Is to recognize perception is taking place. Okay. I perceive my inner world, my thoughts, my feelings, my sensations, my memories, my desires. I perceive the so-called outside world, the so-called physical world. So if you are perceiving the same things from your perspective, then the question is, what is the medium in which your perspective and my perspective exist within? If this is one world, but you are seeing it differently to me, yet we both can interact within this world, we can go to the park and play football. If it's true that your perspective is different to mine, then how can we interact? There must be a medium that joins your perspective with mine, or that allows both of our perspectives to run free, whilst also keeping us joint within the same reality. So when you put perspective into perspective, you create a space to see that perspective is not your fundamental nature. You don't see with perspective in truth, you see perspective. That is to say, you are not actually seeing with the so-called senses. You are seeing the senses. You are seeing your thoughts. You are seeing your body. You are seeing your memories. You are seeing your perspective. You are seeing other people's perspectives. So that which is seeing perspective is distinct from perspective. So this is how you can come to see that which joins our perspectives, allows 7 billion perspectives to be, must be one. It must be one. it has to be detached from your perspective and my perspective to allow your perceiving to be so clear to you, my perceiving to be so clear to me. I'm very sure that I'm looking at a camera right now. You are very sure that you are listening to me speak or watching my mouth move. That's your perspective. There is no muddled perspective of me believing that I'm looking at an elephant. Whereas there is an animal right now looking at an elephant somewhere, or a person somewhere looking at an elephant right now. But my perspective is not getting muddled up with that, neither is yours, unless you are the one looking at the elephant right now. Because the base of our being is untouchable by perspective. That's what we truly are, that pure consciousness. Just as space allows all different objects to be, you can have sharp objects, blunt objects, round objects, big objects, small objects. They all exist within the same space. Because space doesn't interfere, it's the background of the objects. So as space is the background of physical objects, that pure consciousness is the background of experience itself. So to perceive truth is to try to see that your perspective is not your truest layer of self. It's your way of living as a human in a particular way. But as we know, humans are so awesome that we can live at the level of perspective of ego, of lower self, so to speak. And we can also choose to live as a yogi, live as an enlightened being. Well, you have to do some, of course, work to get there, but it's possible. So I just wanted to give you this knowledge, help on your spiritual path. Start putting perspective into perspective, because that's actually what you are doing, but you just don't realize it. Perspective is in front of you. You are aware of your perspective. You can talk about your perspective versus my perspective. So that which is perceiving the perspective, and on my side, that which is perceiving the perspective, they're both distinct from perspective, from the mind, from thoughts, from sensation, from memories. And that, as we say on the spiritual path, that is one consciousness, Brahman, Atman, whatever you want to name it. Reality, universe. How to see truth? First, put perspective into perspective. If you like the video, please like the video. Have a wonderful day or evening, my fellow expressions of consciousness. Peace.